wallets. Each wallet has its list of addresses. The important thing is that the address that you give them, so let's say you're buying no KYC. You want to make sure that the address that it's going into is different than the address that you used last time, but it can be from the same wallet. But when you move it out, you will be able to see where you move it to. So let's say that he sent you Bitcoin, right? Or you received Bitcoin into this address, right? So you can see the balance of that address, but you can also see what transactions have gone on in that address, right? So if you move Bitcoin from that address to another one, this is all public information, right? So you can follow the money and you can see where it's going. You know what I mean? It's you to pay another on-chain fee for no reason. Just the address, not the whole wallet. So wallets can have billions of addresses. You don't know which address belongs to what wallet on the blockchain. So what I just showed you was an address, a Bitcoin address that you can receive into. But I can't see what other addresses are associated to one key, one private key. So if I send someone Bitcoin, I only know one of their addresses that they use to receive my Bitcoin. And because I know that address, I can follow that address and the money in that address to wherever they move it. But if it moves from one address to another, I don't know if that new one that they moved into is theirs or it's someone else. Digital. So I can just sit at home. I know that I sent you Bitcoin to that address, and I can assume one of two things. The next address that it moves to is yours, or it's someone else's, right? Now, if you're a Bitcoiner, I'm probably going to assume that you're not going to be trading in and out in a short time frame. So I'm going to assume that the address that you moved into is yours. P2P transaction, I would not move the address. So coin joining or mixing is when, Bitcoin is fungible. And what that means is that much like coins or bills, one unit of Bitcoin is the exact same as another unit. So what you can actually do is imagine we in the physical world all get in a group and we put our coins into a bag of the same amount. So let's say we have $1 coins and we all put our $1 coins in a bag. And then we shuffle the bag and we take a coin back out. No one knows whose coin is originally whose, right? The coins have been mixed. So now I might have someone else's coin, but we have the same value of the coin. So we don't care. We just go about our day. That would be the only benefit when you have no KYC Bitcoin and someone knows your address. That would be the benefit, is coin mixing or coin joining, so that it separates you from that person. That person can't follow the mixing as easily as they could otherwise. Coin. And then you send it through a mixer, a coin join. And then you try to send it back to a centralized exchange. The government or that centralized exchange might say, hey, we noticed that that was mixed. We're not going to accept it, right? That is a possibility. But for no KYC, you would never put your no KYC coins onto a KYC exchange, right? So that risk is non-existent. I created the software to allow people to do this. But if you were a user, you got there was no repercussions for you. It's like using another branch of the internet that is more private. If the government thinks that that was a crime for you to create that system, you're going to jail. But you're just using what someone else created. a lot of people believe that Satoshi Nakamoto stepped away from Bitcoin and never showed his identity, right? Because if they knew who was behind Bitcoin, they would 100% put them in jail because it threatens all of their fiat currency models. We don't go to jail for using Bitcoin, except for in some parts of the world where it's getting really bad. But in most parts of the world, you don't go to jail for using Bitcoin, right? But we don't have those same problems in Canada or El Salvador or the US. Lives on my physical device, right? So much like we have our own hardware wallets and the hardware wallets have their own software. How would the government ever stop you from creating new seed phrases on your hardware wallet? They can't, right? Because it's software that cannot be stopped. So it's more for privacy, like seeking privacy, whether it's KYC or no KYC, you're seeking more privacy. You know how the person that sent you Bitcoin can see the address that they sent to? And then when it's moved from that address, that person can assume that the new address is yours, or they can assume that it's not. In this scenario, the new address would be mine, right? And that person wouldn't know that, but they could assume it's still you, and it breaks the link, right? If they assume it's you, well, that address isn't actually yours, it's now mine, right? And I would do the exact same thing. This on a larger scale.
Okay.
Where more participants come together to do the exact same thing. We're just basically swapping addresses. And we all say, okay, everyone deposit 0.01 Bitcoin. And now put in the address that you want to receive into. Okay? And we move around and everyone gets their Bitcoin back. That's it. And it's not a problem if you're not paranoid about it. So you can be as paranoid as you want, and you can take a lot of measures to clean, or break the chains between who sent you the Bitcoin and who you are. But no, it is not a security problem of that Bitcoin. It is just a privacy concern. So what Proton does is that they don't sell your data. So if you look at something like Gmail, Yahoo, whatever, Hotmail, whatever email provider you're using, these are all big companies. And you wonder, where are they getting so much money? Well, they're selling your data, right? If you think that Google is not selling your data, you're wrong, right? That's how they make a lot of their money. They sell their data to YouTube so that they can put ads on your videos that target you specifically based on what you subscribe to, what websites you've purchased from, stuff like that. So what you'll notice on Proton is that it's way cleaner and you don't get spammed as much because there's no data being sold on Proton. That's my understanding. But one thing you know for sure is that Google, Yahoo, Hotmail are selling your data. You know what I mean? So, worst case scenario, we move on to Proton Mail and we use that, and they do the same thing as Google, Yahoo, and Hotmail. But the best case scenario, they're actually being truthful and they're not selling your data. There's two founders, and they're privacy rights advocates. They've spoken at the United Nations. Wow, they seem like pretty smart people. But they provide services that focus on privacy. So they've got the email client, which is Proton Mail. They also have a VPN, which helps you be more private on the internet. They've got a calendar, a drive. They now have a Proton wallet, which is for Bitcoin. It's a kind of like a blue wallet, but yeah, a password manager, yeah, self-custody wallet, cloud storage, all that stuff.